a strange one as well for me, because on the one hand we're talking about tools and technology, but it doesn't take away the human interaction of our roles as well. So you can use AI to find great talent. We can automate that. So literally you could probably go through a big part of our recruiting process without even having any human contact with anyone, because the tool, your application, all the automation that's built into that in many ways handles that. You can never really replace that human experience.
Sharron, Carrie, welcome to the show. How are you both?
Good, thanks, Chris. Yeah, really looking forward to spending some time with you today.
Nice. You've got to be kind to me now because I'm outnumbered today, all right?
You are.
All right.
We will, promise.
Yeah, no worries. Before we jump in, let's give on a quick intro, sort of your background, your experience, and sort of the journey to where we are today. Carrie, you want to kick us off?
Yes, thank you. So I'm Carrie Small, 20 years old, TA experience, been working at VMO2 for the last couple of years, part of Sharron's leadership team. I love all things TA, all things recruitment related, particularly passionate about tools and systems. And my role really is about enabling the recruiters to do a great job, give a great experience to candidates, support our hiring managers, and really find the best talent for VMO2.
Nice. After 20 years, you've still got a smile on your face. So that's good.
Always.
That's a good sign. Sharron?
Yeah, hi, Sharron O'Donnell. Similar to Carrie, I've had quite a few years in recruitment, talent acquisition, and I'm very lucky to have Carrie on my team as well. And I guess for me, I spent a long time in recruitment. Aren't prepared to change it now. I love the opportunities that it provides, but I'm particularly passionate about the transformation of talent acquisition and how it has evolved and continues to evolve with the advent of obviously new technologies and things like that. So yeah, great.
So and what a transformation it has been, right? From when I started to where we are now, it's almost unrecognizable. Yeah. And I'm sure for both of you, I'm sure you've constantly had to upskill and reskill yourselves and the team to keep up, because it is such a fast pace of change. And that really is going to be the sort of overall essence of our conversation today. So talk about the strategy and the transformation journey that you've both been on. Let's start with the why. What was the why for the journey? And then we can kind of jump into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll take that one, Chris. So I joined Virgin Media as the organisation was just over 9, almost 10 years ago. And we've touched on the fact that recruitment, talent acquisition has changed. And yes, it's certainly changed in that time. But the real catalyst for this transformation for us was the joint venture between two companies, which was Virgin Media and O2 Telefonica. And the organisation came together and got married 3 years ago. It will be on the 1st of June. And I was appointed 6 months prior to that into the role leading the talent acquisition team for the new harmonised company. And this was really the opportunity it's a white paper moment, where you can really set the standard of what you want for the future, and looking ahead at how recruitment is evolving. And of course, at that time, we were post-Brexit in a pandemic where I think everybody's heard the war for talent, the Great Resignation. Yeah. And as an organisation, we were really setting our stall out for what the future of our company would look like. Are you still hearing me there? Sorry, I don't know what happened there, cut off. So this was a great opportunity for us to really look forward instead of working in the moment. It was around what do we want to do over the next 3 years and create something really special. So that was the catalyst for our transformation. And we are two years into our journey. We're going into our 3rd year now, where we're really starting to see some of the benefits and the results that are coming out of that transformation.
Amazing. Anything you wanted to add, Carrie?
No, not at this.
So is it safe to say that the honeymoon is officially over?
We're always in a honeymoon period, but I think, like Sharron said, we're in a long-term transformation as well, right? So we're 3 years into that core journey, but it's still constantly evolving, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So it's It's busy, it's a lot, but it's a super exciting time.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Or firstly, it's an exciting opportunity, like you said. Most leaders only get this maybe once in their career, where they have the opportunity to come in and really build something from the ground upwards.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's kind of what's kept you both engaged and excited and energized throughout that. Right, very rare, especially with two large organizations like that coming together.
Two very powerful brands. Yeah, I think, when you're talking about a Virgin and an O2 brand, very much loved customer brands that are coming together, and you've got a standard, you've got an expectation of what your customers expect from that. So that's the one thing when we actually set out the roadmap for that 3 years, and it was a 3 years transformation because, these things don't happen overnight when you're talking about technology dependencies. Harmonization of teams, integrations. It's a really big piece of work.
Yeah.
So, it was really exciting for us. And like you say, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? So, bearing in mind, talent, and I encourage everyone to think about this. The company is only as good as the people that it employs. And if you want best talent, you want to be the best company, you've got to attract and engage with the best talent, and to do that you've got to be the best that you can be. So that was for us really important, is how do we attract and engage and give great talent a really great experience to join our company.
Yeah, love that. So obviously a huge amount of work to do. Could you walk us through how you planned it, and where do you start? What does that look like? Walk us through that.
Well, yeah, that's really actually, I'll be really straight up with you on that one, Chris. The visionary part of it and the elements, the component parts of the transformation were actually very, for me, quite easy to define. I didn't find that particularly difficult at all. What I probably hadn't realised is the appreciation of just how difficult some of the component parts might be. But we could set out a standard, and one of the real catalysts is the technology that we use, right? And my previous years had taught me that working within a core HCM tool, which many organisations do, right? And I'm not going to sit here and say they don't work, because they do. But if you really want to lead the way on talent and be agile and engage top talent and really personalize your journey and give your recruitment team the best tools that they can to be the best versions of themselves, you're never going to get that in HCM. And there are a number of those versions out there. And having gone through 2 transformations with core HCM, I knew for me that a one-size-fits-all was just not going to work. When we're hiring 6,000 people a year, very different role types, from stores staff to Google Cloud architects and data machine learning individuals, you have to personalize that. You're never going to be able to do that. So that for me was always going to be number one priority, is that we could give the talent acquisition team the tools that they needed. With the emerging market, that market is worth, $36 billion a year in talent acquisition technology. So we wanted to make sure that we've got the right tools. So our strategy was always around one platform. And we use that as our springboard. And rather than having multiple different systems, multiple different tools, it's all connected in our talent acquisition ecosystem. So our go-to-market approach, our brand, our careers marketplace, everything was to hang on the back of the technology that we use. And that for me always had to be something that was future focused as well, that could adapt and that could evolve, that would have the technology and the capabilities to be able to evolve in the future, to keep us ahead, because it moves at such a pace, as we all know technology does, that it can be obsolete within 12 to 18 months. And one of the things I didn't want is a white elephant in the room. I've seen those before, and actually you could kind of grow out of them or move past them. I needed something that was going to take us into the future. So we set out our stall, and then I had to go and knock on the door and ask for investment, right? And that is never an easy conversation. But actually, for those, I'm very, very pleased that our Chief Digital Officer, our Chief People Officer, and our Chief Information Officer, they all kind of got that if you want the best, you've got to invest. So So the investment, I did have to knock on a lot of doors, and I had to persuade a few technologists that our HCM tool, the proposed HCM that we were going to use, would not be fit for purpose for our talent acquisition journey.
Because that's the reaction, right? Like, reaction is, why do we need to spend more money? We can already do all of that in our current tool, right? You're fighting
Absolutely.
against that. How did you overcome that? How did you overcome that?
A lot of presentations and slide decks. I will say that, right? And a lot of conversations with a lot of people. And you know what? There were some battles, so there were some challenges, and I'm going to use that because there were some really tough conversations to be had. We'd invested millions of pounds in HCMs. We had the HCM telling us we can do all of this, but actually when it came to it and I gave them the opportunity to showcase what they could do, that actually is where they couldn't do it. And our chief digital officer, who very much at the time, obviously very front facing, very future focused, actually totally got it. So that was huge. But it was a lot of money. You know, when you're talking about spending in excess of £1 million on technology for talent acquisition, a lot of people often see, oh, well, yeah, it's recruitment, it's talent acquisition, what the heck? But I was very fortunate that our senior leadership team kind of got that, and they saw the vision and understood why talent's really important. So after a lot of conversations and quite a few challenging battles, they signed off. They gave me the cash, right? So the EC were good with that, and we were in a position to start our journey 2 years ago on that. But I think that's the one piece of advice that I would give to anybody. If you're really serious about having best talent in your company, enable your talent acquisition team to be the very best versions of themselves, and don't shackle them with using technology that is not fit for purpose and that cannot take you into the future, because you will always be behind the curve.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's I constantly, as you can imagine, I've done 700 of these episodes, and it's a recurring theme of getting that investment. What did you learn along that journey you could share in terms of how to best approach leaders, bring them on board? You know, that in itself is such an underrated skill that many HR leaders don't learn, or resourcing leaders don't learn until the moment. And then they realize. I think there's a number of things there, Chris. Don't underestimate that people actually don't know. You'd be surprised at how many people don't kind of understand or know the difference between the technologies, but also don't underestimate the fact that they may not be actually too interested in it either. But I think the thing that I learned from most of that is it's always about the benefit, what's in it for me, what's in it for the business. So it's always about the benefit, and be that how you can be more agile, how you can be faster, how you can save time for the business, how you can save money for the business, and keep repeating that. And get as many stakeholders as you can on board with this journey, and then don't underestimate how long it will take as well. That's the other thing I would actually say. It's not something that can happen quickly. And there's a little bit of divide and conquer in there. You know, you might need 10 people to come to the table to make this decision. Have the one-to-ones to have that time with them to explain those benefits and get them on board individually. It's much harder than in a collective environment for objections. Maybe I'm just giving away a little bit too much at that point, but that's of course.
Definitely some of the things that I would recommend.
And also you have to understand, convey what it means for them individually.
Absolutely,
not just the business. This is what this means for you, Chris. A lot of times they don't get that bit. They don't make that connection. They may actually understand what it means for the business. I kind of find that bit they get first. Normally they don't understand. What does it mean for me? Why am I doing this? As well. Sharron, what about you?
Carrie.
Sorry, Carrie. See, I knew I was going to do it. I knew I was going to do it once.
Hey, look, it's usually me doing that, Chris.
I knew I was going to do it once. Sorry.
Yeah. I think I started after this journey with Sharron had done a lot of the hard work and a lot of the graft, right? So when I came in and I started in the organisation, we literally went live with a new HCM tool, and then we had the plan to put in place the new recruiting system by July. And that was ultimately a hard stop because we had two legacy recruiting systems, one that was going to be decommissioned. We needed to bring the two teams together. So I kind of came on board from the kind of that delivery perspective piece. But I think in terms of, a lot of my day-to-day stuff is about embedding it with the teams and with the recruiters. So that's been, I think, a lot of that hard graft in terms of, as you said, what's the benefit? What's in it for me? Why do I need to change the way that I'm working? Why should I trust in automation? Why should I trust in technology? Why can't I still send my CV to the hiring manager via email because that's what they like?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of that kind of gatekeeping stuff, and there's a lot of conversations. And it's a change journey. So I think, to Sharon's point, it's a lot about, selling the why, but it's about the change piece as well and what's in it for me. So we're still on that journey, but we just shift the stakeholders, I think, ultimately from a senior level to the people that are doing the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. But you have to realize that it's not like a end date. It's an ongoing.
No, there isn't.
Yeah,
no.
Like people are, doing this project. No, I think you need to change the word. It's ongoing, right? And it's constantly iterating. You're learning along the way. Was there also an element of fear maybe from the team? When a new technology comes along?
Yeah. And let's be honest, our recruiters are absolutely brilliant, right? So they're a brilliant bunch of people. Their heart is always in the right place with everything they do. And they're in that kind of juxtaposition where they want to serve the needs of the business. Their hiring managers want to do right by the candidates and all the other kind of pressure that they're under. I think it's been a difficult time for them because they've literally, you come in and you think recruitment is A to B, you know your patch, you know what you're doing, your business area, the skills that you're recruiting for, and then in many ways the blanket's pulled up, the rug's pulled out from underneath you. So you've got a completely new way of working, new tools, new systems. But I think they're doing really well with it overall. But it's been a tough time. It's not been easy, and it is about embracing the new and almost like taking that kind of leap of confidence as well, and a leap of faith, and thinking, right, I'm just going to jump in and try it. And we're still doing that literally to this day, aren't we, Sharon? There's still a lot of that going on as well. So.
Yeah, and we're very early days in our journey from when we deployed. So we're 8 months. And the approach that we took, we really did a phase 1, phase 2, and beyond for continuous improvement. There were some of the learns that we took from that as well. But overall, I think the mere fact that we've had 500,000 applications in that time, we've hired 4,000 people. It's worked for us, right?
It's not fell apart. It's not fell apart. You didn't
And do you know what? Absolutely. And I think reflecting on that as well, because you don't do these things in isolation. We've had a massive team kind of supporting us all the way through the build as well. And I think for Sharon and I, literally day one, we were like, we got our first application in, and I think it was a real a high five moment.
Yeah.
And there was a part where you thought, oh great, I can crack on with my day job now, whatever that is. But actually we're still in that kind of buy and build and continuous improvement mode and stuff, which actually I think is just a brilliant opportunity as well to never rest, still carrying on making it work better overall, which is really lots of fun actually, strangely.
Yeah. You mentioned at the beginning the reason for the transformation is to ensure that you're constantly evolving, innovating, and obviously, of course, you have that war for talent that you're all competing for. What has this new technology, what benefits has it brought both to the candidate experience and what benefits has it brought to your actual recruiting team that you've now seen come to life?
Yeah. Oh, do you want me to make a start on answering that? And perhaps maybe you can build on some of that. I think, for me, Chris, the ease of being able to do your job, using the technology and leveraging things such as GAI or AI to help things move faster, to be able to get to the results quicker. And there's some of the things that we've already seen huge benefit: personalization, some of the automation, taking some of the heavy lifting out of.
Give me an example, a specific example of how that shows up.
Yeah, so I'm going to use the AI that we're looking at where we can do person-to-person or job-to-job matching. So we have a CRM within there, which most companies have. Great, no problem. Talent communities, surface talent easily. LinkedIn connect with our ATS tool there. So you can see the talent that you've got on LinkedIn, whether it's in your, all really kind of standard stuff in there. But where we've got jobs with skills, you can ask the system to actually surface the other jobs that have actually got the same skills across the organisation. So you've got 1,000 jobs on there. A recruiter's not going to start wading through all of that or searching there. But actually, you can very, very quickly ask it to surface the jobs that actually match that job. And then you surface the candidates that actually match that profile straight away. So where you've got your silver medalists, your whatever you got within that talent pool. And then you can actually look in your database and actually your CRM and actually surface talent that matches that. So you've already got a shortlist there. We're long gone are the days where we're posting and praying, and I reference that a lot as the other part of the transformation, right? Post a job on a job board and pray to God that the right person actually applies for it. No, and that might take, a week, 10 days? This way you can actually have a shortlist on the same day. So when you're under particular business pressure, you've got someone who's leaving your business by the time you've got that role approved and we're ready to go. People want to move fast in today's market, right? So if you're able to then say, hey, Mr. Manager, let's have a look at 4 or 5 of these profiles whilst you're actually having a conversation with them because you've been able to do that search.
Wow.
That's a game changer, right, for the pace at which you can move. Being able to rapidly find talent as a starting point, that's the difference between using a very bespoke ATS that's built for your needs versus a core HCM tool that just may not quite ever be able to do that. That's about being able to be fast and agile and rapid in this business, and not have to go out and post a job on a job advert and pray to God the right person. That's one example. I think, Carrie, you can also build on that, can't you, with some of the key searching for candidate side of it?
Absolutely. So they're all, a lot of our recruiters have come from an agency background, so they're used to working with a database and having a group of candidates and the CRM that Sharron mentioned. So that's really about building talent communities. But I'll kind of take a step back from that. And I think one of the biggest shifts that we've been able to explain to the team is literally around their ways of working, right? So let's go back, let's say a year ago or something like that. Without really realizing, they're working in a way that's really, really admin heavy. So they're spending a lot of time on administration tasks. They're sitting there, they're reviewing CVs, and you can literally spend a whole day writing a job advert, posting a job, calling some candidates, having a shortlist, etc. And in many ways, you still get to the end result, right? You still ultimately you put that new candidate wherever that would be, you make a hire, etc. You close down the job, you move on to the next one. And I think kind of what the technology has enabled us to do is really set this shift with the recruiters as well, and that's much more around. And we've done it kind of stage by stage. So we've not gone on really heavy-handed and said, right, that's it, we're transforming the way that we work. But what we have done over the last kind of 6 months or so, which has been enabled by the system, is to be able to take away some of their administration tasks so they can really concentrate on the business partnering, the really strategic calls with their business, active sourcing, building these talent communities, using the features like AI, stepping back from arranging manual interviews, all that kind of stuff. We've got a feature within our portal which essentially allows the candidate to put their own interview slot. Really nice, seamless journey from the candidate. They can see 5 slots that have been prepared for them in conjunction with the hiring manager, a couple of clicks for the recruiter, and then the candidate can book themselves in, all the interview confirmation, everything's automated. And I think just one of the massive wins has been taking some of those admin tasks away from the team, enabling them to concentrate on the more exciting parts of their job. So having the conversations with the talent, speaking to the business, etc. I think that's been kind of one of the that's probably been one of the biggest shifts, I think. But we're still on that journey as well, right? Because it is, it's a heart. You've got to buy into it. I think the recruiters have to kind of buy into it from heart and mind perspective. But then the bottom line impact for business is we surface the talent quicker. The business have had a better experience. The candidates had a better experience. And you kind of think, if we're in this market and we're really in this kind of war for talent space, I don't know about you, but if I was looking for a new job, I'm probably more than likely going to engage more with the company that's given me a great recruiting experience where I've had some really meaningful conversations. I've progressed really quickly in my application. And that may be the company that I'm going to go for more than, any other organization where the recruiting process takes months, for example. I think that's been a big one. That's been a big one for us.
And and a company that comes back to them quickly.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Doesn't leave you hanging around and gives feedback as well. We know that doesn't happen all the time. So for the rest of the market.
Hardly ever, right? And now it's kind of, you both touched on so many things there.
Yeah, sorry.
no, I
download, I thought.
Yeah, firstly, the first thing that came to mind is also this shift to becoming a skills-based organization that you kind of mentioned earlier, which is really, really, it is the future and it's important. And it also allows you to tap into your internal talent, right? Like you mentioned, that you sometimes don't even know exists, because they may not be, they may be in a different function, but those skills are fully transferable, right? And the fact that you'll be able to match that both internally, externally through the integration with LinkedIn Talent Solutions, that's really exciting. And also allows you to nurture that talent internally, retain that talent, right? Because they feel empowered to take charge of their own career. So there's so many benefits from that perspective. And I think you mentioned a couple of things about your freeing up your recruiters' time, but they may sound like small things, but something like as simple as the calendar feature is hours and hours and hours of work, right? That they used to have to manually do to set up those. Oh, actually, I'm not free at this time. Are you free at that time? I remember doing that, and it's just a lot of time that takes up to be able to do that. And again, that candidate experience now is such a differentiator to have it is. Yeah.
And on the candidate experience, I'll come back to you on the skills-based one just a second, actually, Chris. But the candidate experience, so we also have integrated within our tooling suite is our NPS, again, not unusual. But we have seen a marked increase in candidate NPS and internal manager NPS in terms of response times, speed of response. That has definitely improved, and communication. We are already seeing, we've really good benchmark results on candidate, almost super, surprised that it's exceeded my expectation, well, our expectation, hasn't it, Carrie, in terms of the response that we're getting. But we also get real-time feedback from candidates in the moment every day. They're able to tell us. So if we need to adjust something or something isn't quite right, or say interview scheduling automated, they can't find a slot, or there's a theme coming out, we can adjust in real time. And when we've got volume recruitment, which we've got a sizable volume estate, we need to be super fast, particularly in our retail stores, of which we've got over 400 retail stores across the UK. And as any retailer will know, if you can't recruit, you can't open those stores, right? And that is really tough in that marketplace. Certainly, obviously, we know post-Brexit, there's been some implications on some of the workers that certainly within a demographic profile, it's really tough. So you've got to be fast, you've got to be quick to be able to access that talent. And we've definitely been able to improve response times through using the automation that we've got within the tool. But let me just come back to you talked about the interesting point on skills-based. I think definitely there's a huge shift, right? And we started that journey over a year ago. In fact, we started the conversation on skills-based 12, 18 months ago, certainly from a talent acquisition. And really, how do we surface the skills and how do we evaluate, validate and assess those skills? And that's part of our wider transformation piece within there. One of the other features that we will have access to very soon is our internal talent marketplace, which actually where our internal talent can create their own internal talent profile. And they can add on their skills. There's skills adjacency within there from the big skills ontology. And they'll be able to create this. And actually what that will give our talent acquisition team is the ability. So when we've got the skills profile of the vacancy, we can really look at internal talents as a first and foremost. And one of the key drivers for retention we know is development opportunities. So it's not always vertical, it can be lateral as well. But short-term gigs and secondments where we've got those opportunities, we can proactively go out and identify named talent that we've got within the business and say, hey, here's a nudge, you've got this, rather than then having to sign up for skills alerts, for job notification alerts, we can actually nudge those. And that's all part of the longer term thinking for us. In how we also support the business to retain best talents, because we can build that skills profile. It's part of our journey throughout. It's the third year of our transformation journey is that part of it, and we're just enabling the technology element of that now for this year. So yeah, really exciting. Doesn't get boring.
There's always something new. No, I think it's a must-have.
Yeah.
I think it's a must-have for every company. I think every company's going to have a talent marketplace internally, especially also in order to be an agile business and move quickly and bring those different skills together, whether it's different projects or, like you mentioned, bringing people from the gig economy in. You're going to have to. I think we're no longer going to see functions. We're really that's going to sort of the hierarchies and the functions is going to start to disappear, and it's going to be all focused on skills based and project based work. And you're going to have, as a large organization, in order to move quickly, you're going to have to move that way. So I'm glad to hear that you're going along that journey. And as you said, it really is, it makes your employees feel empowered and in charge of their career. In my day, when I first started, you're just waiting for that tap on your shoulder for your promotion, right? Like you never really feel like you're in control of it. And the only reason I left my last company after 10 years is I felt like there was no room for growth and I couldn't see any opportunity. So if I had a company where I had a talent marketplace and I could see offer opportunities, I probably may not have left. And if you speak to most companies, the ones that retain people for long, they have something like that in place, whether it's through this tool or something they're built. You look at companies like Unilever. You look at the average person at Unilever has been like 15 years. So it's a long time, and they've had multiple careers in that same organization.
And I think that's the key, isn't it? Being able to have multiple careers and different opportunities keep you engaged, keep you interested. And I think that's why talent acquisition as a team can really champion that strategy and enable that to happen in a business. And it's partly why, for us, having that agility within our technology to enable that to happen is also part of the reason in the business case, right? Because it's not going to happen unless you've got a way to make that happen. You can't just rely on people to think that, hey, I'm going to do this. You've got to actually enable and put some thought behind how that happens.
Yeah, talking about a business case, you mentioned earlier about the traditional, I was going to say something really rude there, throwing X at the wall and getting nothing back. Let's just say that. From in terms of the posting the job boards and stuff like that. Have you calculated some of that, the savings on that? Do you have any numbers you could throw out there in terms of, because I'm sure the business would
it's just shy of £1 million, which actually, when you think about not spending £1 million on something that actually just generates a lot of applications but doesn't actually produce a lot of output.
Wow.
It's huge. We're talking big numbers here. Huge numbers. So that £1 million is actually what it costs to buy and implement this technology, right? So that for me was also a driver. And it's not always about the money, but I'd still like to spend £1 million, but I'd like to invest it in a better way, in a better way of working with different technology. But for the business, of course, they want to save the money. But posting on job boards, there is absolutely a place for job boards. No two ways about that. 100% there always is. But to have it as a singular option outside of a LinkedIn maybe was never going to work for that size. So yes, there will always be a place, and we will continue to work with them, but it won't be the go-to approach for us to post a job advert, spend hundreds of thousands of pounds doing that, and then just, as I say, pray that the right person apply. You can't work like that in this evolving technology landscape where the skills, those individuals with those types of skills do not sit on job boards looking for jobs. Not in a million years.
No. It's kind of
so you might as well just go and burn £10.
It's kind of laughable, isn't it, in that sense? Like, it's not going to work anymore. I have a random question. I didn't plan on asking you this, but this is for both of you. How does it make you feel to see how far the profession and your function have come? To where
great question.
Carry on.
If I take it back to when I started in recruitment, it's markedly changed. But I think our profession, we've still got some way to go for talent acquisition to be really recognised as a strategic partner to the business. I think there's still work to be done in that. But I think as an evolving function and future talent acquisition is really exciting. What we're able to do, the breadth of the scope of the work that we do, it changes a company. It can actually influence the outcomes of business performance. It's having a really great TA function. That's my view on it anyway. I'm rather passionate about it, as you can probably tell. But Carrie, you might have a different view. I'm sure you don't know.
It's funny because you often get asked the question, "Oh, would you, do you want to go into a bit more of an HR generalist role? Do you see that as your next step, etc.?" And I think, Sharon and I are on the same page on this in that we're kind of TA lifers, as it were. So I don't see kind of a big change in that respect. But there's many different parts of being in the TA industry, right? So absolutely, the people that are really smashing it, that are in the agency space, and servicing some great talent. We do have some strategic partnership with our agencies. We've got a really low, agency cost per hire, which is brilliant because the team are, often ex-agency workers themselves, as it were, and they've come over in-house. But I think the thing for me is that and certainly from my personal perspective, so I worked as a headhunter. I worked in-house, kind of delivering recruitment. I came up through the recruitment manager role into a bit more strategic role. And I think you almost find yourself in a space where you just really like transformation. So all of those roles, there's still a place for all of those skills in anyone's journey. But I think, the industry is changing so much, and I think it's about, as Sharon said, it's about having that seat at a table, right? So you can probably still go out and do your role and be a decent recruiter. You're posting a job, you're screening CVs. There is a place for that ultimately, but I think it's the more strategic part of the role now that's growing more. And these tools, systems, things like LinkedIn, etc., is about enabling you to do that and have those really strategic conversations. So a lot of the work that we're doing with our team at the moment is, okay, you're going to have an initial briefing with the hiring manager. So, we're going to kind of bring forward some really strategic questions to ask at that hiring manager briefing. Literally, that's the time when you build that relationship. You cement what the next steps are. You understand, what's the strategic nature of the role, how you're going to recruit for it. And that's when you're really talking about what's happening in the market and what competitors are hiring and what talent's moving. And, you might challenge a decision around, what's the makeup of your team look like? How can we, find more diverse talent, for example, from different backgrounds or whatever that looks like. And it's really about enabling the team to have those strategic conversations. And I think if anyone's in TA not having those conversations and adding that value to the business, I think that's the next step that we'll all be getting into, having, really those kind of conversations also. But, it's the strange one as well for me, because on the one hand, we're talking about tools and technology, but it doesn't take away the human interaction of our roles as well. So you can use AI to find great talent. We can automate that. So literally, you could probably go through, a big part of our recruiting process without even having any human contact with anyone, because the tool, your application, all the automation that's built into that in many ways handles that. But you can never really replace that human experience and the candidate experience, the manager experience, etc. And the technology would never really take away from that, but that's a massive part of what we're trying to do with the team. And I think, as a really decent recruiter, you need to understand the business strategy. You've got to be able to sell that to anyone that's joining your company or people that are moving internally, etc. What's in it for them? But you'll use the technology as your friend, right? Don't be afraid of something that comes through AI. Don't be afraid to say, I'm getting loads of applications. You know what? This role, someone has to speak French for this role. So I'm going to put a killer question into the application profile. I'm going to ask them if they speak French. And you know what? If they don't, I'm going to, automate and remove them out of the process. So it's kind of trusting that technology as well, but remaining kind of keeping about the human aspect of your job. And actually, for me, that's the part that I really like. So
it's interesting because the assumption is going to replace with technology, but what we're finding is actually it's freeing your team up to have more human conversations.
Yeah.
Right. So
because in a way you're freeing up the admin time, so they can do that. Yeah.
So it's the opposite, right? It's like everyone's like, "Oh, we're going to be replaced by AI." No, you're actually being you're actually being freed up to have more meaningful conversations with candidates. It's actually kind of reversed the opposite, right? The initial knee-jerk reaction is that, but for most recruiters I'm speaking to that are utilizing these tools, they're loving it. They're like, once they finally kind of get to grips with it, they're like, wow, I can actually spend time having this conversation with the business, having conversation with the candidates, thinking more strategically and they're kind of almost found like a second wave of energy in their career almost that I'm seeing from people, like, because a lot of my friends have been working in recruitment for 20 years plus, and this is like a game changer for them. They're like, I'm re-energized again. Actually, I'm excited again as well. So what would I know you're still on the journey, both of you, as we sort of start to wrap up, you know, look, I know there's probably a long way to go. There's a lot more things you've already clear. What advice would you give to others that are starting a similar journey? You know, they're going to be going through this journey along the way, looking back, maybe anything you would have done differently, advice you could give to them as they start to reimagine and transform in a similar way to you?
Really great question. What advice would I give to anyone? I think be realistic on the timescales. Be really clear on what it is that you want to achieve, and just test that all the products that you're considering will be able to deliver that for you. And I think ask for advice, and don't be afraid to go and network and talk to people about their experiences, working with the different suppliers or working with the different technologies. Go and talk to other customers that are using it, and get firsthand, this is how we did it. That was really valuable. And we did that. You know, I'm very thankful I've got a wonderful network who I was able to reach out to, talk to people, got some views and thoughts on there. And the actual suppliers and providers should be able to also help you with that as well.
If they're good, they will. Right?
Exactly.
They should be excited. If they're good, they should be very excited. That's a great piece of advice there, by the way. You know, ask your peers, right? They're the ones living and breathing it like you. Get their advice and guidance.
And don't expect everything to go wrong perfectly all the time. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I just say for me, it's about bringing the right people to the table at the right point in time, and almost road testing it, right? So, you know, you're building a hiring manager portal where the hiring manager is going to do all their recruiting tasks. Bring them in, get some feedback. You know, have people there that feel part of it, because then when you come to go live, it just helps massively from an adoption perspective. And don't underestimate the amount of time it takes to train the team and embed that change with the team. You know, a 2-hour Teams call where they get a demo and there's a slide deck isn't going to cut it. It's actually probably you can build something that's amazing, but if people aren't going to use it because they just don't trust it, or, you know, they'll tell you, yeah, I'm fine, I know what I'm doing, but actually it's that kind of real one-on-one learning by doing and building enough time into that as well. Because you can have the most fantastic tool, but, you know, it's getting it really embedded in the team that's probably that really realizes the benefit.
Yeah. Almost needs to.
I think to build on that, there's a couple. We've got really early adopters that were in UAT up front, wonderful, go live, they're absolutely brilliant. And then there's some reservations there, weren't there, you know, from some people. And I think it's the quiet ones, actually, those that, they're the ones. They're the ones that say, yeah, I'm okay. But when actually they do need more support. And not everybody learns in the same way.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that we've taken from this as well, hasn't it, Carrie? Different styles of learning. And in this, you know, obviously COVID or post-COVID environment where people are working far more remotely, learning and upskilling your team when everybody's remote is actually a lot harder. So create opportunities to come together wherever you can when you're going through this transformation journey, is particularly around technology, so that you can capture those individuals and you can show and tell more, and you can actually peer-to-peer learning as well. That's one of the things that, well, you've got great adopters, early adopters, encourage them to become more advocates and almost like train the trainers to a degree, but super users and coaches, buddies, that actually helps accelerate the journey. And I'm probably sharing what most people do as a standard BAU here, right? But it's those little things that I actually think, right, got it, we'll do that.
Yeah,
just a great reminder, really.
Maybe a reminder, but you can't miss those things.
Exactly.
Those small things are the things that people miss, that become a disaster on the other end. So the last thing you also want to do is lose people's trust, because it's very, very difficult to regain. Takes a long time to earn. Very difficult. Very easy to lose. Thinking about the journey you've been on so far, what would you say that you're most proud of?
Ooh. Oh, another great question. You're really full of these great questions, aren't you?
Throwing you off guard.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm most proud of. It's going to sound almost benign to say this, but everything. In terms of our achievements, the output of that, the number of hires that we're making, the candidate NPS, the hiring manager NPS results, the team, the adoption of the team, Carrie and her team in terms of the execution and delivery, the partnership approach that we have, that we've been able to reduce how many adverts we don't have posted in the marketplace and reduce the job board spend. A lot, right? I'm proud of all of it. I think, we're still on a journey. We've still got a lot to do. We're not perfect. But that's great. I'm really good with not being perfect, because that means that we've got something to aspire to continue to evolve. Carrie, what would you build on as being most proud of?
I'd say there are probably two things. So the first one is really granular, and that's literally when we got our first application through.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, okay, this is good. Okay, this is going to work. Great. And because literally when you're cutting off two career sites, which is the VM and the O2 one, and you're going to market with a brand new site, a new company, as it were, with that first kind of front door, when we got our first application through, that was probably, proud, but also a sense of relief, right? But I think the thing that I'm really proud of is just the way that we brought a really big team together to work on the build. So we pretty much built it within about a 6-month period, and there's lots of people that are obviously involved in that from a branding perspective. You're up late at night literally writing candidate emails, rejection emails, you're testing everything, and that was really rapid. So I think from that perspective, really proud of that as well. And then we launched it for the team, and you say kind of a couple of weeks later, oh, how are you feeling? Yeah, it's all right. I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah. I'll take it.
I'll take it, because if it's not all right, they're really going to shout, and they do. I think that's probably 3 things, but for me, that's the main part. And obviously, Sharon's talked about realizing the business case and being able to go back after we've gone live and say, this is what we built, this is the savings, this is how it's impacting us from a talent perspective, this is how we're able to track and monitor all of our metrics. So we've got a really kind of a quick time to hire. Our NPS through the experience piece has gone in a really great way. So I think they're the kind of the big bits, but as Sharon said, it's all of it really. But this is a unique opportunity. You don't get the chance to do many of these kind of projects end to end and see it through as well. So
yeah. Cool. Well, listen, I know I got to let you go at some point, and this is just the beginning, right? And like you both said, right? There's so much more. We have to do a part 2. I'm gonna message you both in a year's time and be like, okay,
feel free.
Tell us about your marketplace. Yeah. Tell us about your talent marketplace. But honestly, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really fun speaking to you. Congratulations to you and the team on the journey so far, as well. And I love the fact that you both said that you're lifers. But I'm laughing because everyone who's been watching or listening right now can see the energy and passion that you both have. As well, and after that many years that you're constantly developing yourselves and you still have the same passion, congratulations to both of you, and I wish you all the best until next week. Okay,
thank you. Great. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.